Service. Hey everyone, welcome to Chef Sense. I'm your host, Chef Massey. All right, so welcome back to the podcast. Chef Laura Lipoufski is back. I am so excited.
Yes.
And we've got the wingman.
That's right.
Chef Jason Williams. It's so good to see you again. How long has it been? Like 5-6 years?
It's been about 5 years, yeah.
Yeah. Forever, dude.
Yeah, forever.
We're getting older, right?
Yeah.
What is that?
Yes, we are.
What's up with that?
We're feeling it.
Oh my Lord.
Oh,
so
boy.
So what have you guys been up to? How are you doing, Laura? I mean,
I'm doing good. I'm just, killing it at work, doing the same thing and getting in the grind.
Yeah.
We've got holidays, that are coming up, like St. Patrick's Day this weekend.
Yeah.
So I'll be in there tomorrow doing all the corned beef.
Yeah.
Making my soda bread.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
No, that's
and then
awesome.
We've got Easter coming up, so we're getting ready for some big holidays.
Yeah.
And a new menu coming up for spring and summer. That's going to happen.
And that's huge.
That's huge, yeah.
Yeah, you know how that is.
Oh, yeah, setting that stuff up. Yeah. And it's funny because so many times I think when we're doing these seasonal changes, and we really as chefs, that's part of our DNA that I think we need to have that as a part of us. And there's some places where they don't, they stick with the same menu. But I think really pushing ourselves to do these seasonal changes, you kind of can reinvigorate some things and go through some new ideas and get the team involved.
Yeah.
So
food trends, always
absolutely.
Changing. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And Jason, in your background, since you're kind of new to the podcast, being in the industry as many years as you have, what brought you into our world?
High school. I took it in high school, culinary arts. Didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I'm like, well, I don't want to do office work. I need to be hands-on and constantly busy and doing something without being bored. Yeah. And so I did that for about 3 years in high school, and then when I graduated, I was like, oh, I got to be serious now. Do I really want to do this? And I had an opportunity to go to Vermont to a trade school for a year free. Oh, wow. And get my certification there, and did that, and then came back to the Berkshires and started doing a hotel here and there and doing work, and then ended up where you two were. Yeah,
and that was Canyon Ranch. And I have to say, just so you guys all know, Chef Laura was the executive sous chef there with me, and prior to my time. And as you've heard before, it was so essential to the foundation of supporting that kitchen and really worked her way through all of the departments. But, Chef Jason, being in there with him, we'd been together. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was 5.5, almost 6 years there. Chef de partie with you. Yeah. And, we were a full brigade kitchen. And I really just enjoyed working with both of you so much. And there were times you and I would be, we're rolling with the operation, and the sous were off and we were jamming together. Mm-hmm. And you're just awesome.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
And we pushed through quite a bit. So just so you guys know the history of that, and you were at the ranch for how many years?
21 years.
21 years. Yeah. And that's just amazing. Yeah. And Laura, you were...
About the same. About
years. Yep.
When I started there, Jay was there.
Yeah.
I think you were just a line cook.
We were a week apart. You started first, and then I started a week after you.
Yeah. So we were there together.
Yeah. I wasn't even a line cook at that point. I was salad bar, pantry, doing all the grunt stuff in the beginning. Yeah.
And you worked your way up. And that's amazing.
Yeah, we were young. We were 20?
I was 21.
21?
Yeah.
I think I was 24. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we first started there. And the bake shop was in the middle near the main kitchen. It was all part of the main kitchen. Yeah, right. So the bake shop was just those 2 rooms.
Yeah.
Right.
And, we had to make it happen in those 2 rooms.
Right.
And then through working there, I helped, it was Barry Correa at the time.
Oh, yeah, Barry.
I helped him, and we created the bake shop that's now down in the basement, which is a nice bigger operation. You can do breads down there. They have the deck ovens, and it's an actual bake shop. So I was there through all that transition, which was a lot of fun, and it was a lot of experience too to see how that all came to fruition.
Well, and I mean, there couldn't have been a better person for any of the change I think that kitchen ever went through. I mean, to be honest with you.
Thank you, Jim.
And just
so complimentary.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I look at that, at Canyon Ranch, so it's an all-inclusive model. And, there are multiple outlets. There are, lunch and learn. I don't know if they still have it. So guys, correct me. It's been about 6 years since I've been there, but, we had lunch and learn in our demonstration kitchen there. We had our larger dining room. And then we had our farm to table, which I think is called Rebel now, but that was a remodel that we went through, in a very large, and Cafe Jardin outside. So,
and the employee cafeteria.
And the employee cafe, which we remodeled as well. So there were a lot of things that all of us as a team, had gone through. And honestly, I mean, I really enjoyed all those changes, and I know it was really hard on us. I mean, as all of you guys, I mean, how do you feel in that brigade? I mean, what was that like for you working in that? I mean, because communication is key. Yeah. And I know I'm not perfect, but, I did everything I could, and Laura, that's where you and I had that A and B relationship where, we shared a lot of those thoughts and those concerns and shifting the team, because as a chef, it's very easy to go into these things and go, this is the way it is. This is how we're doing it. I don't operate that way,
right.
And it's important to get your insight, am I seeing everything? Yeah, I'm very experienced. But again, I think that's where this communal existence and leadership coming from my indigenous side is that you have to guide and protect the people at all times.
Yes.
And, even though, and I've said this before, the warrior learns knowledge between the ears to be the best advocate someday and a protector at that time, but an advocate as a leader as you move up to gain that wisdom. And when you become that leader or wisdom giver, one or the two of the tribe, you really, you never forget what it takes to be a warrior, right? Yeah, so as a chef, as you move up, whether it's a small brigade or large, you should never forget what it took to run the pantry, to be on the dish line, to do those things. And, you and I've talked about that too, is like, as we come in, getting that, there's 21 years or those years of experience that we've all come up in the industry. I know it's a long time, but it gives you the wisdom to get through those battles to win the war.
Yeah.
But how is that for you guys? I mean, in working through all those things.
Well, there's a lot of personalities.
Yeah.
We talk about that now, and it's,
there were a lot.
I'm so blessed to have been able to work with Jay as long as I have.
I mean, you guys are great together.
Yeah.
There's always been a chemistry.
We're
that's
we're like work husband wife, like it works that well.
I mean, I was, honored to be able to work with her again. And when she called me and said, "Hey, got this position, would you like it?" And it was very scary for me to leave something that I was comfortable for 21 years.
Right.
Going into a totally different atmosphere, a nursing home. And I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but I was like, I'm going to try it and see how this goes.
Yeah. So, you've always been great to put yourself and say, I got this, and I know it's not easy, but
that's why I wanted him, because I was like, I was going through a little bit of a rough spot there. I had, a cook that I was having some troubles with. So I like needed some of my old blood, I'm like, I need Jay.
Right,
it just clicks. I'm like, I need Jay, because it's like, he's laid back, but he's intense too when he needs to be.
Yep.
And you can talk to anybody in any kitchen, front of the house, back of the house, wherever, even in the facilities that he's worked in. Most people, 98%, like Jay.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
He doesn't have enemies.
No.
We're the two that don't.
I don't know.
Okay, good.
But I'm sure
right. Yeah, you need a pen and a piece of paper for that one.
There are. Okay, 99.5%.
Well, nice.
But, it's true. And that carries out to the guests, too, and the residents. It's like, they love him. And I know that. And it's like, you're only as good as your team.
Well,
and it's like, me,
absolutely.
I want to be the best. So
Right.
I need the best.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I had to get the best. So it's,
Right.
I think we're there. We have a great team,
We really do.
and
Yeah.
we have like a lot of mixed personalities.
Yeah. Yep.
More than I think we've ever worked with.
Well, 'cause we're
okay.
we're a smaller kitchen, we're all closer together.
Yeah.
So, there's no like separation, like one big room, and you're like, all right, I have to see you every day. And,
Can't send you to demo.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
Right.
Flashback.
demo.
Wait, you sent me what? No.
And that's funny that you talk about that because working at the ranch, that was, I think, the funniest thing was every morning it was us a lot. It was Jay and I in the morning, and usually Tom. And there's always a call out or something, and it's like who's going where.
I remember you going around the corner looking at me, and I'm like, no, I'm sorry.
Here we go.
We got to change things up. Today.
When you came around and you knew what the schedule was, and then you see everything's all upside down and backwards, you must have been like, somebody called out.
Oh yeah.
So
right
it's like who's on first, who's on second, who's going there, because it's like we still had to make the whole thing happen, even though you're down one person.
Yeah. And we had it's a complete 100% from scratch, it was a part of the vision, and that's how we were able to control this world around us that is this complex ag system, industrial food system, where we could make sure that we were controlling that.
I was just thinking about the mayonnaise.
Oh, God. Yeah.
We even made our own mayonnaise.
We did.
Pickles.
Yes.
Salad dressings. And this was Jason's biggest struggle. Yeah. Like, he would go in the back and see what the inventory was on those items.
Again?
Yeah.
Nobody made the hummus.
Well, I mean, you're making gallons of it. This isn't like, gallons, 2 gallons. I mean, you're loading it up. Yeah. Oh, man.
So that was always a struggle in those soups and the big...
Again, you being driven and kind of going back to Jason, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I think being proud and inspired by you too is that you're always willing to take that challenge on, or if something is amiss or whatever, you're stepping right into it.
Yeah.
And that's not easy for any one of us. I mean, it's like, it's got to get done. Let's get a list. Let's make it happen.
It's got to get done. And might as well, have a good attitude about it, get it done, and just, make it happen.
Well, but also you're great about going right into demo. And again, that's another thing. I was like, that's so awesome for him. It's great for any one of us, but going into that, and not everyone is comfortable with being on the spot in front of people. I mean, you're looking 20, 30 people.
Oh, it was very stressful for me and challenging, but I told myself, you have to try at least.
Right.
You can't, let yourself down if you don't try. So I would get stressed out and before I went and did it. But after I did it, I was like, wow, I really did a good job. And they liked me, and that kept me going to do it again.
Yeah, I got the old endorphins going there. Yeah. Because it feels good. I mean, you're like, hey, I can do this. And you do a great job with that,
What I liked about that was the hands-on, one-on-one with people, or 2 people in the class or 3.
Right.
30 people talking to them, that was just kind of awkward. But the cooking hands-on was pretty fun. Yeah.
And the questions. Where do ramps come from? You get constant questions.
Oh, all the time.
And you need to be knowledgeable. You know, and there were some times you don't know the answer, and you're standing there and you have to come up with something.
Like I call it stump the chef, because they would want to see if you had the right answer, and if you did, they would call you out on it, and you'd be like, "Oh, are you playing with me right now?"
Yeah,
My whole thing was always like, I'm going to get that answer to you at the end.
Yeah, give me a minute.
Google.
Google University. Yeah,
because we don't know everything.
No,
even
not
though
at
we
all.
love to read the Food Lover's Companion and think we know everything and every ingredient. There's always something.
Well, and kind of where our industry going, I mean, as we keep on going after these trends, I mean, what do you guys think about like some of the food trends? And
some of them, it's like they get the big like flare up, like the whole sous vide, pull, and that's still present, but it's starting to pull back a little bit, and they're going back to the old school, cooking techniques. I just feel like classics are just always the way to go.
Yeah.
go back to that, and you're
you're always golden.
Yeah.
Everybody loves a classic.
Right. Yeah. No, very, very true. Looking at the industry too, I mean, I know we've dealt with, the big, I guess the big transition with COVID of the mass exodus, and the other thing too, I mean, we're kind of dealt with, staffing levels and concerns, looking at now AI, you guys have heard me talk about that, but, even like restaurants that, like Cali Express, that's almost 100%. AI with even facial recognition.
Right.
It's like, oh, Jason, you ordered the burger of such and such, and just hit this agree. We've saved your credit card information, and it's all done. Yeah. And out 3 minutes, it's done. So it's kind of crazy. I mean, what do you guys think about all that?
It's pretty amazing. Even in the cities, like I think they have, I'm not sure, I think it was New York City where they have these actual like vending machines, but it cooks for you. Like it will make the pizza for you inside the little like cubicle.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, it blows your mind.
But it's scary because, it's taking away from, a
the
chef
human part, yes.
Or a cook and, a job.
Well, that's the thing, and also with some of the AI or the robotics, I think Miso Robotics is one of the groups that is, it's doing these things of turning the burger, the fryer, the this, the that. And then now, humans, we're putting the final touches on things, but then now it's going on a robot on a tray and out to the table.
Right.
So it's kind of a crazy time for us.
It takes away all the human part of it, because that's the most comforting part.
Right.
Like that's what we like, you like to, integrate and be with humans,
Well, and it takes the artist out of the picture. And even when you look at AI now, I mean, they're starting to formulate the ability to do, famous artists and testing that.
Wow.
Of like
music too.
Right. Music too. And that's
affected by it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it cuts you out, right? I mean, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's like obviously that it can be used as a tool too, but I feel like with music, it's a parallel to food in a way. 'Cause there's processes of creating music where, you can have AI finish the music for you. Or you can have AI master or mix or
Yeah. Write a menu.
Yeah.
Again, this opportunity to kind of pull some of the artists out of it. I mean, hopefully we can kind of circle back on that and make sure that we're not, taking too far away. But yeah, I just thought I would ask and see what you guys thought.
I think when it comes down to it, I think all of the reasoning behind all of that is money.
Yeah.
And a little bit of greed,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And I really think that's why it's gone as far as it has, and that's why it will continue.
Yeah.
Because that drives most people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And
it
it's
sure
sad,
does. As we're
Save the dime.
That's right,
seeing more and more, and that's tough with with these companies and everything. What do you guys think about like our food system and kind of some of these things coming to fruition of the box brands and.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan. I enjoy Whole Foods. That's what I always just come down to is when we develop menus and stuff like that, it's just try to just go with whole foods. Like I don't like the whole processed foods and what it does to our bodies. I mean, it's not good. There's things that they put in those foods that like they don't even approve in other countries.
Right.
I mean, doesn't that make us wonder as a society, like, why am I eating this?
Yeah. Well, and that's interesting because like in Mexico, they're working on, their food system where their healthcare program is much different than ours here in the United States. So it's connected, to the government. So they're realizing that at some point, these issues are going to cause a future problem. Whereas here, there's an avenue for making money off of it. And I think that's kind of tragic. As I've talked to, Dr. Nessel and some of these others, that it's kind of an unfortunate situation. And I think that's where looking at our food system as a chef, and I've said, you're that storyteller on the plate, what you're giving people to nourish themselves with, and I think even the large vendors, they've recognized it and they're starting to kind of try to put that in their portfolio of who their, manufacturers and products that they're bringing in. But it's still a really murky situation.
Yeah.
And it's it's too bad. But, and comparing same companies from here to abroad, it's the ingredients are much less.
Yeah. It's really not cheaper to buy those products.
Yeah.
It's actually more expensive, but what's easier is the labor behind it.
Right.
So I think a lot of people steer in those directions because, even if it's the mom at home with the dad, they just get out of work and it's just easier to buy something from the frozen food section and pop it in the microwave.
Yeah.
It all makes sense, but it's full of chemicals, and it's not good for us.
And artificial flavoring and the taste.
And it doesn't taste good.
Yeah.
I mean, you make a quick stir fry. I mean, what's that take? 10 minutes, and then if you buy a healthy choice, those ones I've had.
Right.
Yeah, and you pop that in the microwave, and if you taste them side by side, you probably would have paid more for the healthy choice meal than you have just to whip together a little stir fry for one person. Right. And the taste difference is
well, it's
so different.
It really is, and that's where you can control it by making your own meals. But it's hard for people to do that, nowadays. Hopefully that can kind of shift over time back. When you guys are going in, what is your challenge in a kitchen? What is kind of like, what are the things that you guys kind of get frustrated about that always kind of pop up to you? And how have you worked over time to resolve those things?
Just everybody being on the same page.
Yeah.
And,
working together as a team. You go right to that every time. And I mean, you punch the clock, you're here to work. I mean, it's not your job. That I don't accept that. You
hear that everywhere though. That's not my job.
Yeah.
But it's like, take that out of the equation and just, come in and say, what can I do?
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have to be honest, that is one of the things that kind of drives me nuts because, on one side, I understand you don't want to be taken advantage of and you shouldn't.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But on the other side of it, I'm not going to be where I'm at today if I didn't go through what I did then, meaning the willingness to step in and do and to take on. I mean, you kind of find out, what you're made of. And I think, again, there's a fine line there. But I think as human beings, especially being new in the industry or youthful, I think it is important to kind of get a little bit test of the fire. And because I think that you end up, once you start skipping things, it's just like anything. Once you go into this, to the battle zone, you don't have all those cards in your deck yet.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So when you start the process and you work through these levels, you're able to kind of build that much quicker and have a much smoother resolution and probably help your stress level. Because as we know, it's one of the most stressful career paths in the world.
Yeah. I mean, we're lucky as a team. Like we have a great dietitian who, controls the menus, and she's very into whole foods and healthy, fresh food for everyone. So we're lucky in that aspect.
Yeah.
Because there's some that are not as good.
Yep.
She's very good with that, and she listens.
Yeah.
She goes and talks to Jay.
She'll ask me, what's your opinion on this? What would you like to see on it? What works for you? Yeah. Because coming from a kitchen where you have 30 chefs, other cooks and chefs, to coming into a kitchen where I'm the only one cooking. And it was like, I have to make sure I'm doing all this correctly. And she's like making sure, helping me out with the menu. And there's a lot of times where I'm like, this isn't working for me.
Right.
Can we fix this? Yeah. And she's all aboard about helping me figure out that.
And that's the other side of our family tree with healthcare, which you guys are working in. And it's hard. I mean, people don't really realize that sometimes, it can be very challenging. Sometimes it can be a little confining, but it's also, in that moment, how do I think outside the box to make it work? And, the dietary needs and, allergies.
So many.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It is.
So for those people that are on that side of our industry, it's pretty intense on it. I mean, as I was a regional executive chef of New England for healthcare, over 7 locations. And, when you're doing the full, like a 4-week menu, and you're doing your cafes, and you're correlating inventory because it needs to fit to the patient menu. Mm-hmm. So, again, I'm a resort hotel chef. So when I stepped into it from COVID, even though I had the years of Canyon Ranch, and that really helped me because we dealt with a lot of dietary needs, but still nothing like this. So when you're trying to do that on a big scale or a small scale, it doesn't matter. Like it's intense, and not to mention supply chain issues. Whereas as a chef, we were dealing with that really the big challenge of that with COVID. But in healthcare, it to be honest, it was even harder.
Yeah.
Because
we don't have a lot of products right now.
Right. And we had shorted products. Things get left off the truck.
Right. And that's
I have
because
to make
of
my
ingredients
runs to Whirlies and, all these different places to get what we need. And it's funny because Jay and I still have that Canyon Ranch mentality. Yep. Like we can't sub. We have to do what's on the menu. So I gotta go get it. I'm running to Loeb's. I'm gonna go get it. So it's funny because a lot of sometimes the other team or the nurses or anybody else who's working there, like, oh, just serve something else. Yeah. And me and Jay are like, well, no, we can't do that.
Well, but and you're so right, because the ingredients, the sodium's higher in one product. These ingredients are in there, and it wasn't in the original, the original recipe. Mm-hmm. So when you're dealing with allergies or people on specific diets, you are challenged that way, where, you are making those runs, and so. And
it's difficult because you have the carb issue with diabetics, you've got the sodium issue with a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
That's a big one. Yeah. And then there's the textural differences too. Like some people can't tolerate a regular diet. They have to have things chopped up or things even pureed. And there's so many different levels to it that, when you have 100 people, you think, oh, it's 100 people. We can, we can swing it, but then it's like, it's 100 people, but there's 20 that are this, 20 that are that.
Right.
Some of them are a combo. They're a little mixture of everything. Then you have people who can't swallow.
The dysphagia diets.
Dysphagia. And then they have to have thickened things.
Yes.
And so then you have that. So as a chef working in that environment, some people may think, oh, nursing home chef, always probably just serving stuff out of a box. Well, A, we don't do that at Kimball.
Right.
And B,
we're a 5-star.
We're a 5-star facility.
We've been keeping that 5-star for years.
Right.
And I remember when I was telling people that I was going to be working in a nursing home, and they were like, it's not going to be challenging enough for you. And now I'm like, you have no clue.
No, I mean, but seriously, like there are these avenues, that side of it, where you really, thank God for our knowledge, I was able to, help locations. My thing was, I was building the menus, I was doing the recipe cards to everything all the way down, and ordering logs for each location. And, when you got hit like that, and I have to say, for all of you amazing healthcare culinarians and people out there, it isn't easy. It is not easy. No. And, there is also, at least in the hospitals and some of this, there are very talented people, but that talent pool, it is harder. And you can find wonderful people with that. And you're an educator as a chef, so your responsibility is to nurture that person, no matter if it's healthcare or not, to get to the best of their ability with your guidance. Yeah, right? Definitely. So, again, a big, thank you to all healthcare on that side, because that was, I was in that. I had actually left, and COVID had happened, and I stepped into Trinity Health Services and took on that regional executive chef job, which I was the first in the region. So there was no sort of administrative organization at all. Oh, wow. So I went into the entire system and created a program for that. And on top of it, when you think, oh, COVID, this is going to be, we're going to be really busy. Well, a lot of us, the elective surgeries completely dropped out.
That's what
so
happened.
Our hospitals and these, completely dropped out. We would get spikes of COVID, but nothing like that we had anticipated. A lot of these across the nation, I can only speak for what our locations were. We took a substantial hit. I mean, a substantial hit. But again, going into that and working with major food purveyors to make sure that I'm getting exactly what we're looking for, because it had to be as clean as possible.
Yeah.
And we couldn't, the years of like ordering whatever we wanted to, and it was easy because there wasn't a supply chain issue, not to mention healthcare concerns on dietary needs. Wow, that was a mind opener. But anyways, I'm going off about that. But you guys are amazing for taking on and pushing through that, because there were shutdowns as well. So
yeah.
But
it's rewarding too. I mean, people are constantly writing on their ticket that goes back to the kitchen.
Yeah.
You
Amazing
just got one last week. Yeah.
And, or you go out and greet them and they're talking to you and like, oh, Jay, I knew you were here today because of the presentation on the plate. And
right.
Thank you so much for doing that, the little details. I'm like, you're welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes a big deal.
Yeah.
And
Jay is the egg maker. Like he knows how to make everybody's eggs.
Yeah.
Like 100 people.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they all have specific, requests for their eggs. You know how people are with their eggs.
Oh, yeah.
This is the guy right here.
Well, and that probably helped with
I don't even have to read the tickets anymore. I know what this person wants. That person
wow, there you go.
Like,
they're here. Let's roll.
Yeah, and then, there's an attachment piece to that too. When the time comes and they're moving on to their next. It's sad. Because we've gotten attached to Mrs. Over Easy Eggs and fried toast.
Right.
And then to see it's not there anymore.
Right.
It's sad. You get attached.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's hard. Or like the toast and stuff. Like, oh, you got to put that through one more time. She likes it darker than that. Or it's like little.
We have people that want burnt English muffin with peanut butter every day.
Boy.
It's like we know those people and they appreciate that.
Right. Oh, that's funny. Well, when you guys, can you reflect on the years that you guys have been together? Any kind of like crazy funny things that you've kind of had to jump in on together, or oddities?
There's so much that
I know.
Yeah.
There's so much. It's hard. Like I can remember one thing that so at the ranch, the 4th of July, we always did this thing up at the state forest.
Yes, I remember. Yeah.
And Chef Steve Betty he was the executive chef at the time. Well, him and I was the executive sous chef, so it was our duty every 4th of July. And most people on the 4th of July, you want to be having fun with your families and doing things. So we always had to do this like grill out up at the state forest.
Or the lake.
Or the lake. It was either or. But I think this particular time was up at the lake. Or no, it was up at the state forest. So it was pouring rain down. I'm talking downpouring rain. So, but we're Canyon Ranch, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, it's still happening. We don't cancel things. Yeah. We don't cancel things. We just don't, do that.
Yeah.
So we had to pack the truck up, big monster grill, the rollies.
The long,
monster grill. We had easy ups. I mean, we had everything because we had to create a space also for these hikers to have their nice barbecue 4th of July lunch.
Those days.
Yeah. So we went up there in the sloshy mud, water, everything, set up our grill. I think there was 4 hikers.
Yeah.
4. And we were set up for like 40.
Yeah.
We were set up for 40 because we had already prepped that.
You get discouraged. You're like,
we were so discouraged and like sopping wet. We had umbrellas. Like we were just trying what we could. But I'm like, wow. I mean, this is a different level.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew, like, I'm working for a pretty prestigious place because places just cancel things when the weather's bad. But not Canyon Ranch. No. We still did it. But that was one really wild time. I can remember. I just was so blown away by that.
Yeah.
Like, we still have to do this. And there's only 4 people signed up.
I just remember back in the day when you guys would be like, just got to get through this week, and then next week's better. This is every week.
It keeps rolling.
One more day. Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. You used to tell me that. You say that all the time. I'm like, I know.
Just keep trucking along. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
But it was funny. And his whole routine would just crack me up all the time because, I'd come in and when Jay was off, when he came back to work, he'd go through all the coolers, and he'd pull everything out of the coolers, and this isn't dated. What is this? And he would just go through
Monday. Every Tuesday. It was off Sunday, Monday.
He would do that before he started any of his work.
I still do that.
He still does it.
Yeah. I remember yesterday we were like, it's a walk-in. I have to go through that. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to already take care of that tomorrow. So
yeah, just tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, dang. Well, and Jason, have you seen yourself develop? I mean, is there any growth-wise where you feel like, I was at this place at one point, and today where I'm at, this is where I'm at, and this is why?
Oh, I feel so confident now than I did before, and I just feel like I could come up with scenarios or things instead of, all right, we're going to do this now, and more confident with my decisions, I guess you could say, being a chef now. Yeah,
that's awesome, because we used to always connect on our chef meetings and separately, because again, there's this level of communication that you get from everybody, and just making sure that we're sharing things that you saw, and we're connecting on all of it. And I just think it's so awesome how you're jamming the way you are.
Yeah.
It's inspiring,
he's training how to do my job now.
That's awesome.
So he's doing some training in that aspect now too, which is a lot of dietetics.
Okay.
And being where I am now, there were a couple people that I've trained to cook.
Yeah.
That started out as dietary aides and that moved on from Kimball to other places.
Wow,
he's a good mentor because he's the chef.
Yeah.
Right.
So
okay.
It's a step up in that aspect.
Yeah.
From the ranch, we were a giant team.
Yes.
And we were all in the mix.
Yes.
Here, he's the chef.
Yep.
So
that's so great. And I mean, congratulations on that too.
Yeah, it's good.
Wow. Cool.
And we have new people coming in and that are younger than me, and I remember being in their space, and I'd be like, okay, so I'm sorry, that's a dumb question. No questions are dumb. Just ask me, and I'll guide you, to the best of my ability, and I want you to feel safe coming me to those questions. I don't want you to be nervous, and so and I feel like I have that safe presence where you could ask me how to do a recipe or do whatever you needs to be answered. So
and the root team I had before Jay that I still have, I have a lot of multicultural staff. They're all talented in their own ways.
Sure.
And then I have some other cooks, chefs that work there as well, and they're all talented in their own ways too. And it just together we just meld really well together.
And that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great team. We have a great team.
Very cool. Well, and so where do you guys see yourself in the future? I mean, are there future plans? I mean, are we good kind of, rolling where we are? I mean, any thoughts on that? Or
right now I'm feeling good. I'm not sure where I'm going to be in the next 10 years, but even Laura and I were like, we might die here. Because we're comfortable,
Yeah. You just move into one of the beds.
Yeah. We're like, and we're going to be roommates.
Yeah.
Right. Well, bunk beds are the best, really. Yeah.
We'll complain about the food together.
Well, and I asked that because you guys have always been a team.
Yeah.
And so, and I know you're never one to just, this is good. You're always pushing and hey, maybe we can do this outside, or we can try something else, or and you go right along with it, and you have great ideas, and you're you vibe right with it. So I just thought I'd ask that. So
Well, I want to retire in about 5 years.
Yes.
Oh, you are? Okay, that's where we're... Okay. Well, when I heard that, I'm like, okay, there's something to...
I talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
I told them I'll live in a tent. I don't...
Yeah.
I'm retiring in 5 years.
Well, and it's well-deserved, I mean, a lot of hats have been worn, and a lot of connecting of the dots, So, all right. Well, cool. Do you guys have any words of wisdom for youngsters out there, one's kind of wanting to step into the industry today?
Just believe in yourself and do it,
Yeah, be open-minded, take the good information, let go of the bad information, because you get bad information too.
Absolutely.
And do a lot of research, study,
You're
read
always
books.
going to be learning,
Absolutely.
Always,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, always challenge yourself.
Find the best and learn from them.
Yep.
Yep, that's what you do.
Yep. Keep pushing. All right. Well, cool. Well, Chef Laura, thank you.
You're
Chef Jay.
welcome.
It is so good to see you.
You too, yeah.
And let's not wait another 5 years.
I know, right? Jeez.
We're getting older, man. I mean, 5 years could be, you know.
Moving into the bed.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys, we're going to actually step out of here and go have some fun time.
Yes.
You guys take care. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right, everyone. That is a wrap. You can check us out if you like that. Subscribe. Also, the Instagram, Chef Massey. Let's keep it simple. ChefMassey.com. Have a good one. Bye for now.